Five, four, three, two, one. What's up, people? What's up? What's up? What's up? Um, I got a confession to make, and I'm not looking into the camera, and it's partly on purpose. Um, when I think about my public persona, I go out of my way to to set an example, if you will, and that degree, I guess I keep appearances. And today, it kind of got the better of me. So, how's everybody doing? I'm gonna tell you two things. I'm gonna tell you what I want to do the show about. I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do the show about, and I'm gonna tell you where we're going in the not so distant future. Um, I see people are still coming in, and I was kind of late signing on, so I'm gonna give people a couple people a chance to get here. Hey, hey, hey! Shout out to my YouTube people. Last week I started doing some things. I've been playing with some of these apps, and I'm gonna have to set something up with some of my people that I depend on a weekend to try some of this out. Um, I didn't want to chance this app, and then at the last minute, I got in my feelings, if you will, and I decided to go off script and do something else. Um, if you follow me, as most of you do on Facebook, you know that if you follow me, like most of you do on Facebook, you know that this week, Tuesday, as a matter of fact, I was coming from physical therapy and I started having um, some issues. The biggest of which I was stopped for quote unquote speeding by one of the local cops. And when I posted it, I posted it with a smiling picture because um, in some ways it's a weakness to me to let those people that want to bring you down know that they've gotten to you. So I keep up this appearance, if you will, of being unshakable. But I got to be honest with you, shit gets old. Shit really gets old. And with that being said, I'm gonna talk about a couple things, but I'm mostly going off script. Before I do anything, I want to say this. I told you guys that I'm I've arranged for my son to come in and help me set up the studio. He's inundated, excuse me, with work. So until he does that, as much as I want to fast forward to this new format and giving the studio a facelift, I'm gonna have to stick with what's worked for the last 3 years. You know, sometimes our ambitions can be too much too soon. So I've tried out a few different applications and what have you. Last week I tried out one and it seemed to be going well, but I'm probably going to try it again, but I just didn't like them having so much access to my data. I'm paranoid about all of these companies wanting to have access to your camera, having access to, this, that, or the other. Um, and it gives them a back door into your computer, if you will. So I wanted to set up some safeguards, and I'm looking for something that gives me the best of both worlds. One where I can bring you, my audience, on camera. And a couple people made the suggestion to me, why don't I just do like some of my boys did and do Clubhouse, where you guys be able to participate, but only do so you have a picture that comes up, but it's just your voice. And a couple people have said that because during the evening, you guys may be undressed, you may be scantily dressed, or you at your house um, chilling. I, on the other hand, in my studio working. So I'm gonna consider that as well. And I may do that in the interim while I'm waiting to get I have this vision in mind, this ambitious vision to be able to incorporate the those of you that have been with me for the last 3 years, those of you who have been with me the last year, and those who tune in continuously week from week, or week to week, I should say. So, with that being said, I'm just all over the map, and a couple people have called to check on me. A couple people have touched base with me and made comments, and it's funny when people talked about me not being shook and what have you. It just brings some things to light. So, with all that being said, I want to say good evening, welcome to the show. My name is Hank Batiste. This is Omit da Logic. And I always start my show by saying, though there are many things you could be doing on a Thursday night, the fact that you choose to come here and spend that Thursday night with me for a half hour, 45 minutes, or whatever the time may be, it truly humbles me. Um, and I want to say thank you. The fact that you guys tune in and watch me online, and some of my antics, as well as some of my attempts to educate the masses, that it takes me to another place. It reminds me that there's so much work for us to do. It also reminds me that um, I made a commitment and I have to stick to said commitment. So I got three things I want to talk about tonight, and I'm gonna give you some heads up. What I wanted to talk about, I wanted to follow up on the man and woman thing, but I really want to save part of that till I can bring you guys on screen, because I think that's the most important thing that I want the feedback on. Um, the I got something in the back of my mind, and I won't touch on it because I don't want to divulge it, and somebody else kind of takes it. And not to say that we all can't have the same thought at the same time, but if you tell somebody where the water is, you better make sure that you've got yours first. So I'm gonna take you guys to this well that we call well-being amongst us as men and women of color, various colors, um, black, white, Puerto Rican, Haitian, yellow, and brown, whatever. Um, and I got some things. Because just like you, I'm in a process. I, and I've made jokes about it. My daughter said that I have bad boyfriend skills. I told her, and I told you, and I'm gonna say it again. I haven't been a boyfriend since I was in high school. I have no, I have absolutely no aspirations of being anyone's boyfriend, friend, or what have you. The way I see it at this stage of my life, we should be spending time together trying to build something with like minded bodies and hearts and what all that other stuff is. Uh, we should move on to something that tickles our fancy, excites our soul. So, with that being said, I want to save that though. I want to save that because I want to have a medium where I can bring you guys up and I can get the feedback from you. The other thing is, it's just kind of crazy. My oldest daughter is doing a rotation at the same hospital in Minneapolis, Minnesota that I did a rotation at 22 years ago. And if that's not going full circle, I'm I'm just flabbergasted as to what it is. But Minnesota is getting pelted with this snow, as is Los Angeles and Arizona. So when I first moved to Florida, if you guys remember, and I'm coming up on my 4 year anniversary of being here in Florida, moved here on Labor Day weekend of 2018. I was really, when I first moved to Florida, I was really taken aback and I was fascinated. I'm a science and math nerd. I was fascinated by the space program. So to watch these monstrosities being thrust into outside of the Earth's atmosphere into space was, it was just blowing my mind. In my mind, I'm doing these, you know, physics formulas, force times distance is, I mean, is work, and then adding into momentum and trying to figure out this, how big is this rocket, how many tons, cubic tons does it weigh? I mean, how many tons does it weigh, and how much cubic fuel does it take to propel it there, and then the technology to bring it back. So I was just fascinated by that. But then my fascination turned into a little of a letdown because the first law of physics says energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but just moves from one form to another. So then I start thinking about all of those tons of liquid hydrogen that it takes to push this object into space. And when you watch it, and I'm a post one of these old videos I did of this liftoff. When you watch it, there's these huge clouds, and it looked like it's smoke, but it's actually the hydrogen as it mixes with the oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere and turns into steam. So you say it's not, it shouldn't be that big a deal, but it's all about a specific balance, if you will. So much of this in the atmosphere, so much of that. And until that is absorbed by the immediate atmosphere, and then I should have announced this was going to be a nerd moment, huh? I really should have. But I just think about how all of this happens. Hey, Panky, I know what you're saying. Shut up, brain. You're going overboard. But this is how my head works. And then I say every time this happens, it sends the Earth a little bit off of its axis. You know, it's like bumping into somebody. All of this, and it's not just here at the Kennedy Space Center. There's Vandenberg in Texas, and then I know California. There's some place in Texas, California, and then there's China, and there's even India has a space program, and Russia, and China, and so forth and so on. And I start looking at the sheer number of liftoffs that are happening every month. And in some cases, here, with two competing space programs, sometimes every week. Once or twice every other month, or every few months, there's two in the same week. And I'm like, that has to be doing something. If you remember back, and I'm just, since I'm on this nerd tangent, let me just ride this pony. If you remember back in the early 80s, they started talking about hydrocarbons and fluorons and all of this, and asked us to stop using spray deodorant and aerosol cans because the hydrocarbons in the floor and was messing up the ozone layer and blah 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 blah. And I said, if we were doing that with a spray can of deodorant, right guard, and incidentally, right guard seems to not be around anymore. Then what is all of these space launches doing? Then I fast forward and I make jokes about old man Winter being bipolar and being off of his meds. But the truth of the matter is, we're doing it. And then a week like this, where you're having these ultra high temperatures here in Florida, where it's 84 degrees during the day, and then it drops in to the 50s at night. And then LA is seeing snow in the Hollywood Hills, and Arizona is seeing snow, and Vegas, and so forth and so on. And I'm saying, this is not by accident. So, folks, I know there's nothing we could do about it. I know you're probably kicking me. You're saying, damn it, you've given me something else to worry about at night that I have no control over. But I did all of that just to say this. That's a strange segue. This week, I was stopped coming from physical therapy. I was 3 blocks away from my house. And I know there's a speed trap out there. But that morning, I was having bubble guts and I'm trying to get home. So I wasn't speeding per se, I was driving a little bit faster than I would than normally. And I saw the cop come up and I told him, I said, hey man, look, I'm a disabled Marine. I said, and at times I have this thing. And if you watch the commercials, it's like irritable bowel syndrome. I said, so I'm trying to hurry up and get home. So instead of being compassionate, I get this little young white boy who he was on this power trip. And suddenly it went from this thing where, because I know that I got 3 vehicles. When I'm being followed and they're pacing me, I know that they're running my tag. I know that they're hoping that I'm driving dirty. So I know they know where I live. I know they know what I drive. And I know they know my comings and goings. So usually it's the same people in this area, the same cops. And if I'm walking and I see them, I'll just give them a hey, what's up? Because people in my family, people I went to school with, people that I call friends, are in law enforcement. So I don't have a problem with everyone who calls themselves a peace officer in law enforcement or carries a gun in a bag. It's that 10 to 15% that should be saying, hi, welcome to Wendy's. And this guy was the epitome of that because he had this power in his hand. And I'm usually carrying. And I was so glad that day that I wasn't carrying. Because even if you say, I have license to carry, blah, 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 as Philando in Minnesota, Philando Castillo showed us being licensed to carry and compliant does not ensure your safety. So just like the stuff that's going on with the space program, when we leave out our houses, especially as black men, and I keep hearing you don't look your age. It has nothing to do with age. It has a lot to do with someone seeing what you have and feeling like somehow you shouldn't have it. It has something to do with someone seeing that you are retired and you're living a life that they could only dream about. And now they have the power to do whatever they want to do. But see what was strange about this? I have a girlfriend who I just met. She started inviting me out and introducing me to, black people kind of like me. And one of the guys that I met, he's retired federal law enforcement. And I had just gone to his house after a comedy show the day before. And we were having a good time and blase, 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 in the way most people that I know who are in law enforcement. But like where you live, there are all these little towns, cities, and police departments and sheriff departments that overlap. So you have this over influx of so-called peace officers who serve no one but their own ambitions and their own prejudices. So I start calling a few people that I know in the area to say, I want to address this matter. This girl had just said she had not heard from me since we went to the little party, the after party of the comedy show. And she was concerned. She said, I know you live by yourself, and it's not like you to not respond. So when she told me, she called in to the same police force a well-being check. I thought she was making a joke. I said, God, get out of here with them. She said, no, I'll call you back and cuss you out. She said, but I need to let them know that I spoke to you. So this is the other reason for me wanting to get home, because I didn't want the cops to say, well, we see cars there. Nobody's answering the door. And somebody saying, I don't know if the other car's in the garage or what, or blah, 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 and kick my door in. So I had all of these converging things in my mind that you need to get home. Now, once the cop took my information, he said out loud, this is the guy that we're supposed to be doing the wellness check on. I said, yeah, she was concerned because I had a doctor's appointment this morning, and it was true. And I had mentioned it in passing, so she probably put two and two together and got seven. But being neighborly and being concerned about someone other than yourself, she did what she thought was the good thing to do. With all of that information, this power hungry, power abusive, so called law enforcement officer still held me there. Then he runs my stuff, and I'm trying to pull up my insurance on my phone, my insurance card. And all that's coming up is my it's kind of like the card because it shows my it shows the policy number, it shows the good to this date. So why is that not enough? So he's well, I need you to pull up the card. Go ahead and pull up the card. I said, well, this is my insurance company, and these are the three vehicles that are covered. And he's holding me there. And then he comes back and he says, I'm doing you a favor. I see that you have a clean driving record. I clocked you at 40 in a 25. I'm only going to give you 39. So instead of having a ticket for $161, it's only $139 and 3 points. So let me think about this. You know I'm not feeling well. This has been brought to your attention by the fact that you have a wellness check in your computer. I told you I'm having issues right now, and you're prolonging this thing. Not once did you ask me, are you feeling well enough? Do you need to go to the doctor? Do you need someone to escort you? What's the deal? No, he insists on writing the ticket. The fallout of which is now my insurance is going to go through the roof. I'm going to have 3 points assessed to my driving record, 3 points or 3 demerits. And you did me a favor? Well, God bless you if you did me harm. And when I posted, I smiled about it because, of course, I'm going to challenge it. Of course, I'm going to take it to court. In small cities, in all cities, this is a form of, it's called a revenue stream. These municipal and state governments are making money off of these fees. Nobody is thinking about the fact that here's a black man being stopped by a cop, any cop. What's going through this man's mind? What kind of anxiety is he dealing with? If this person has a clean driving record and they are telling you something, where's the compassion when it comes to stepping in and saying, I'm going to give you a warning this time. But in the meanwhile, if you need something, call 911 and I'm going to put a little statement in the system so that they'll know what's going on. So that's when I posted it, I was smiling. It was a sarcastic smile, but I had my shades on. I looked like it didn't bother me. But like I say, this shit gets old. In the back of my mind, I was so upset that I went from being frightened by all of the worst possibilities to being pissed but a lack of humanity from someone who had a gun and a badge and license to fuck with me. And maybe in the back of his mind, he was thinking, just give me a reason. So I had to practice the same thing that we tell our children. When I get stopped, I have my license, I have my registration on the visor. And usually I don't have a problem in pulling up my insurance. And by the time they walk up to the car, I have everything right there. If you look in the system, and here's the thing, You look in the system, you know, hey, Dad, I have insurance. You look in the system, he knows whether or not you have a license to carry. So he, in his mind, he could formulate the well, you know, he had a license to carry, and I saw him reaching. I thought he was, well, if I have a clean record, then I was, what reason do you have? So suddenly I went from being scared of the possibilities to pissed off at the reality. And just like all this bullshit that's going into space that is changing our Earth atmosphere, I have something that's simple. Me driving to and from a doctor's appointment and have to be concerned about an encounter. So I'm writing a letter. I'm challenging the ticket. Whether I will find any compassion, who knows? Stay tuned. So yeah, I was smiling because my mama told me, she says, boy, son, and this is the funny thing, my mama never called me boy. My mama either called me by my name or she called me son. She said there was a time when you couldn't look a white man in their face. So you look them in the eye and you let them know and you speak clearly and you let them know that you mean what you say. So maybe it's the arrogance of blackness that they're afraid of. Maybe it's the arrogance of hope. Maybe it's the arrogance of success. Maybe it's the arrogance of no matter what you have thrown at me and my ancestors, I have come the fuck up. I have got the fuck over. I am here. And I'm going to continue to be here. Maybe I'm looked at as an invader into what used to be their neighborhood. And I came here and I bought property and I'm not struggling to pay my bills. When it happens in our neighborhood, it's called gentrification. They'll call urban pioneers. So what am I? Am I a pioneer as well? My middle name Columbus? Am I welcome? Because some of my neighbors speak to me. And when I walk, because I walk to try to get a little exercise, some of them don't. My neighbor across the street says, yeah, I've been living here since this house was built. My mom's lived here and my mom's passed the house to me and blah, 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 blah. And so used to live over there. And the guy that used to live in your house used to be a Navy commander. I said, oh, that's cool. Yeah, where his son got the house, him and his wife died. And his son wound up being a crackhead. So he lost the house. So maybe, I don't know. And right now I'm just spinning. Is the cop an old friend? All of these things go through your mind because, yes, in a situation like this, we're not overthinking the situation. We're looking at all of the possibilities and we're planning accordingly for what could happen. That's how my head works. Because there are so many variables that I cannot control. But what I can control is how I react to said variable. So I'm a little pissed off. I'm a little pissed off because even though I chose to smile, It was not a smiling matter. My smile was a sarcastic one. It was not one of joy, nor was it one of pain. But it sent the wrong message to you guys. And they said, too many people say, well, you know what to do. You got this. No, I don't got this. Because I could have very well not been here tonight. If it was 10 o'clock at night instead of 10 o'clock in the morning, could have been a very different outcome. Am I going to use that thoroughfare at night, knowing that it's one of the places that they set up a speed trap? Probably. If chance or luck should bring me that way, I will use it. Folks, there's so many things that are happening now that we have no control over. I'm not even worried about myself. I'm worried about my children. When you say I got this, I don't. All I can do is practice the same thing I tell my son. Keep a cool head, comply, and depend on the man above. Maybe next week we'll get back to talking about other things that matter. Maybe next week we'll start talking about some things that really impact us. And then here's the crazy part. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna let y'all go. I feel like this Baptist preacher right now. I was thinking about the old movie with Terrence, Crash, and Don Cheadle, and what's his name that played the little racist cop. But remember, they were coming from the Hollywood premiere or the show or what have you, and they were riding in the car, and it was him and his wife, and she's from this bougie background. He's from, he's one of the brothers on the come up, and she decides to start playing with him and serving him on the way home. And somewhere up in there, the cop pulled them over. Maybe she saw her head bob. Maybe the cop saw her head bob. Or maybe the cop was just there in the Hollywood Hills or what have you. So, again, license to fuck with you. And this woman was so belligerent that it caused the situation where he was emasculated in front of his woman. And the cop supposedly was frisking her and stuck his fingers inside of her, saying he was checking to see if to make sure she wasn't concealing something. And all along, he kept saying, just be quiet, let me handle this. So in the back of my head, with the sisters of today, and I know you can't tell me what to do. I say what I want to say. I couldn't help but to think, what if you was in a car with me? Would it help the situation or not? I know that's a strange one, but that's the segue to one of the shows I want to do. Because one of the criteria for me is it's not how attractive you are, it's really your attitude. That's all I got for you tonight, folks. Thank you for your kind wishes. Thank you for your kind thoughts. This was not the show that I was going to do tonight, but damn it, this is the show that I did. I wanted to share this with you. I want to bring you guys up on camera, but I'm working on that part of it. I'm trying to find something that's going to be consistent. So when I say, uh, Sandra, I'm bringing you up, Tariana, I'm bringing you up, Gail, I'm bringing you up, blase, 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 I can do that and not have egg on my face with saying, well, I was trying to bring you up, but it's not working. So I'm going to have to talk a little bit myself. So for until that happens, we're going to revert back to this old format. And somewhere in this old format, I'm still going to be able to bring people up. But I think what I'll be able to do, I am working on it. I'm working on it. Be patient with me. So I got this wild little eyebrow here. I don't know what it's doing. It's doing what the hell it wants to do. Gray hair is so disrespectful. But anyway, I'll see you here next week. Same Baptiste time, same Baptiste place. Before I go anywhere, I'll say this, I'll say this, I'll say this, I'll say this. Go to my YouTube, Omit da Logic, sign up, hit subscribe, ring the bell, so that you'll be able to see when I put new content up. The thing about this, and this week it was a personification of what I preach. This game called life, nobody leaves alive. So don't be so afraid to die that you forget to live for a purpose. As always important, I wish you love. I wish you peace, two fingers to the sky, and like your man, grin and violin. I wish you had grease. I'm out here. Thank you for another week. And may your skies be as blue as my chin is gray. I'm out here, folks. That's all I got. Good night. Love you to death. Ain't shit you can do about it. Activity is now hidden. This includes messages that are held for review or removed by you. Show activity. Yeah, YouTube is switching up too. Everybody's changing their format. Hey, 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 sir. Hey, ma'am. Hi, Rufus. Hey, Jonquita. Oh, space nerd. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So now you got a ticket, points, and your insurance rate. Well, ain't that a real motherfucker? Gotta buy a new car, but the price ain't right. Be a damn lot cheaper to start riding a bike. Bike. But Johnny said they're making milk out of powder. Got the babies crying. Rent going up higher. Got the mothers lying. I'll pay you tomorrow. I'm out, people. Love you much. It's a real mother for y'all. Makes you want to run for cover. Yeah. If you look, you will discover. Lord, it's a real mother for y'all. Yeah. Rest in peace.